Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today for this episode of Data Dialogues, the podcast that's all about helping you get the most value out of your data. I'm Julien Redmond, General Manager at Certus Insight. For today's episode, I'm joined by Jim Guppy, Data Engineering Manager at Robert Walters. Jim's a highly experienced BI and information management expert, and at Robert Walters he's leading a team of data engineers on a journey from a traditional data warehouse to a new cloud-based data lake using Data Vault 2.0. Jim's going to share a little bit about how they went through a journey to decide on Data Vault 2.0 as the methodology for their new warehouse. A bit about how he's helped his team communicate the value of Data Vault 2.0 to non-technical business users, and a little bit about what they've learned so far on their journey. Hi Jim, thanks for taking time to talk with me today. Can you tell me a little bit about Robert Walters and your role there?
Certainly. So Robert Walters is a recruitment organization. We have about 3,700 people globally. We offer recruitment consultancy, staffing, recruitment process outsourcing, and managed services. And we do that across about 31 countries. As the data engineering manager for Robert Walters, I manage a team of experienced and talented data engineers from a diverse range of technical backgrounds. The team's responsible for designing, building, and maintaining data integrations between a number of applications and data pipelines to allow data analytics and reporting. We're currently transitioning from traditional on-premise architecture to a cloud-first approach. For our data warehouse, this means moving from an Oracle RDBMS to Snowflake. The business uses Microsoft Office 365, and some applications and workloads will transition to Azure. Including the use of Power BI for the data visualization and the analytical layer. On the data engineering side, we evaluated AWS and Azure a couple of years ago and felt that AWS was the route that we were more comfortable and confident with.
Yep.
And since these technology changes represent a great chance to reevaluate many things, we've taken the opportunity to revisit our data warehousing strategy, and that's how we came to find Data Vault.
Yeah, great. I mean, you guys are in a different sort of scenario than some of the other conversations we have with customers where we do, a case study or one of these podcasts, in that most of those organizations have finished their journey and they're telling the story about the technical build of the platform or other aspects of it. What I think is really great for today's discussion is talking really about where you're at in your journey and the steps you've taken so far, which is really, I guess, evaluating what approach you're going to take and helping your business, get across the differences and the nuances of those decisions and building a business case to go forward. So maybe can you talk a little bit about the journey you've gone on so far on evaluating Data Vault 2 and other methodologies and how you made that choice that DV2 was the way you wanted to go?
Certainly. Well, I encountered Data Vault for the first time a few years ago when I was researching data tools and methodologies. But it was when I attended a meetup hosted by Certus in 2017 and met Dan Linstead that I started to understand the concepts and how it could benefit an organization implementing it. With the various changes that have occurred in our technology and transformation department over the last couple of years, coupled with that cloud-first architectural approach I mentioned, we've reached a point where we've been able to explore Data Vault 2.0 as a strategy option. For me, it seemed obvious from the outset that DV 2.0 was a contender, but you have to do your due diligence and convince people who maybe haven't heard of it. I think my only initial reservation about Data Vault was the need to store a much larger volume of data than we'd been doing with our on-premise data warehouse, and possibly that many case studies referred to the benefits seen by organizations who had a massive data throughput and were replacing very expensive data warehousing technologies like Teradata. As storage has become so relatively inexpensive and cloud-based data warehouse solutions with consumption-based pricing models have emerged, I think those concerns have been mitigated. It's taken nearly a couple of years since I first proposed adopting Data Vault 2.0 to reach the point where we are now. We developed a business case and patiently built momentum. Certus has certainly helped me to gather information and examples to support that, as well as develop an implementation strategy involving training for a team located across multiple continents and time zones. I think during that time, some factors have fallen into place. We've adopted the Scrum Agile framework, having transitioned through Kanban, established that cloud-first architectural approach, and made the decision to use AWS for our data pipelines and data lake, and then obviously Snowflake as our data warehouse. I think with most of the building blocks in place, the argument for adopting Data Vault 2.0 has strengthened to the point of irresistibility.
Yeah, that's good. So you've mentioned Agile and cloud and a number of technologies. And when we're talking about data vaults to people who are new to it, we often mention things like the ability to automate and its ability to adapt to change and scale and those sorts of things. What were the key attributes when it came to the methodology that you found were important for an organization of your size?
Well, I think the methodology really helps you to tackle the how of what you're going to do. The data modeling is one part of the equation, and obviously important, but really having a clear idea of how you are going to implement the solution, both in the short term, the immediate building out of what's required now, but also how that can then be developed further, through time as new data sources, new business requirements, and things arrive. I think when we were evaluating things, we wanted to find an approach which would address the main criticisms of our existing data warehouse. In essence, the time and resources required to make new functionality available, and the remediation of issues. I think there's a layer of obfuscation in the traditional ETL and sort of intra-data warehouse processes, which has left a lot of technical debt and a very steep learning curve for any data engineers trying to develop and maintain it. So personally, I was adamant that we found something that was standards-based, and thereby helps to ensure that I think regardless of whoever works on a particular section of the data warehouse, we can have reasonable confidence in this following a particular approach to which we've all subscribed and have confidence in.
Yeah, I agree completely. It's almost like having the blueprint to the whole house, but just deciding which room you want to build, rather than and being able to know where you're going to go next without messing everything up. So
yes, absolutely. And I think I think that the repeatable nature of DV 2.0 really feeds into that. I think we needed to make sure that whatever approach we had was scalable and flexible to address those concerns, that we'd had with adding new sources and data models to our existing data warehouse.
So it is when you, I mean, obviously data warehouses by their nature are quite a technical thing to talk about, but we need to convince business users who maybe don't have a technical background that this is a good idea to go and spend quite a lot of money and develop them. How did you guys sort of tackle that part of it of articulating why this would be different to maybe what had gone before or the benefits of a DV2 based data warehouse to non-technical audiences?
Sure. Look, to be honest, the fact that we presented this as an industry standard methodology has meant that we've not received any great resistance to adopting Data Vault 2.0. Specifically addressing the concerns around the speed to market and accuracy of data to eliminate the complex troubleshooting issues has, I believe, left the non-technical business audience with much greater confidence than they have had previously. I think although this is a challenging time for most businesses, we've been able to demonstrate that following DV 2.0, in conjunction with our cloud-first approach and Snowflake in particular, will allow us to transition from our existing data warehouse and thereby eliminate that fixed cost. Whilst it requires a disciplined approach, being able to identify the cost of specific workloads enables us to give an indication of the overall cost of developing and delivering a data solution to the business. And that in turn helps the business to prioritize and us to then set expectations accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously if you can prove to the business that you can be responsive, then confidence goes up. It's probably those early phases where it's a little bit harder, where you almost need to say, trust me, but I think, I guess the examples, the case studies, and the fact that there is, such a wide body of organizations now using DV2 probably helps. So you've got a pretty small team, and from what I understand, they're pretty much spread around the globe. So have you had to kind of have thoughts or planning around how you're going to set up that team to support a cloud-based warehouse, globally?
Well, I think having made the transition to an agile development framework and settling on Scrum in particular, we found that we're able to break things down and deliver incrementally. And that ensures that our internal customers and stakeholders are able to see progress and have better visibility of the development process. The fact that Data Vault 2.0 fits with and benefits from such an agile approach is a key factor in making this work. I think with a small team, we need to be able to break things down and break down the data warehousing efforts into manageable pieces, which can be completed in a 2-week sprint. Yeah. We're really focused on starting very small to allow the team to put the training into practice and ensure we get things right. I think if you've got a small team, you really can't afford to accrue technical debt. So we'd rather get a very limited scope of delivery working really well the first time. We're then able to build evidence of how much we're actually delivering. And I think in parallel, we're researching the automation technologies and we'll conduct a rigorous POC so that we can demonstrate the additional acceleration that we should be able to achieve by adopting that sort of technology. And that I think will help the business to understand, how it can invest in the speed of delivering those solutions that it would like to see, and understand the value in doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's great if you can prove value and deliver often. It certainly builds the trust there. Look, I mean, that's a great story. I really appreciate you joining us today to tell us a little bit about where you're at. really good luck with the POC. I hope that goes well. And thanks for coming on and sharing some of your thoughts.
Thanks very much, Julien. It's great to be able to share this with us. We're obviously at the beginning of our Data Vault journey, really, but we're very excited about it and looking forward to making some really good progress.
Great. We'll have you back to have another chat once you're further down the road.
Excellent. Thanks, Julien.
Bye. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to access additional resources on today's topic, be notified when new episodes of Data Dialogues go live, and access valuable information management resources and news, head over to certasolutions.com/data dialogues or follow the link in the description. I hope you'll join me on the next episode.